Welcome back to Buckets and Bibles. How to find the ultimate mag. Bad news, homie. There isn't one. Um, you know, when me and my wife started having kids, I had friends, I had people, I had a pretty good circle of dudes that I'm pretty sure would fight with me back to back in scenarios. If somebody was giving me grief, they wouldn't just be, they wouldn't be a standby, or they'd come and do something. But a mutual assistant group is much more than just a bunch of homies. It's way more than that. And I have an awesome mag, and it's probably the best mag there is. And I say that because I am definitely not soft around the edges. I'm rough, and I'm not an easy dude. I'm not a softie, and you got to be a manly man for me to have respect for you. Because if you're a soft beta male, or probably not that I won't love you, or but if it's a bunch of that, I can't. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not that dude. But mutual assistant group for me, it came with the idea of I've got a bunch of kids and a wife, and as awesome as they are, they're not high speed, ultra tactical kids and a wife. They're not, they're not going to get in a gunfight, and they're not going to, pull a sword out and start lopping heads off yet. I mean, maybe we'll see. I don't know. My wife's pretty badass. The kids, I don't know if they could hold the sword up yet. Maybe for a little bit, like one or two, maybe. But that's not their responsibility. That's my responsibility. That falls in my lap. And I knew, like, just being in the cities, that I couldn't protect them. There wasn't enough of me, I needed like one or two more of me in order to feel safe. If I was with another family, like a buddy and his wife, or whatever, it always was better because I had more eyes and more backup. And usually the people that I hung with, if there was a freaking weirdo, or an a-hole, or just a creep, or whatever, they're gonna mess around and find out. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I'm very protective of my family, and yeah, you're just anybody really. If there's a kid suffering, or a woman, man, if I don't like the way you kick your dog, I might whoop your ass. To be honest with you, I'm not that kind of dude, and I haven't always been as forward as I'm being right now in this video about it. My heart set's always been the same, and I don't like bullies. But I couldn't protect my family, and I could, but I just, not in the way that I felt comfortable with it. And so the idea of a mag is I've got to be able to trust them with my kids and my wife. Like the people I had before, like I could trust them with my wife and my kids pretty good. If I left my wallet over there, if I came back in a week, my wallet with all my stuff would still be in there. So it wasn't bad, but it isn't what I have today. What I have today is I have like-minded people, not just in preparedness, because that's kind of a second thing for the mag. Because if we cannot see eye to eye on stuff that's super duper important, like family and the importance of family and headship, if we can't see eye to eye that there's a creator of everything, you know, and we're not it. If we don't understand biblically that we're not aligned there, we probably can only go so far. We could be friends and we could do a lot, but we can't be as close as what I needed. And there's a Torah, if something happens to me, that my people will look after my family and take care of them. And I love that, um, because I feel the same conviction about any of my brothers or sisters. If anything, Yah forbid, if there was anything happened to any of us, I know, in fact, there's multiple families that could take my kids. If me and the wife got in a car accident and something bad happened, or something happened to me, I know they would all look after my family. And that's to the degree that I'm talking, which is all the way. I'm talking raise them up in the way. And I love my family. I have family. I have family that could take them, but I don't want them to take them. And it's not because they're bad people or I don't love them. It's because we don't see eye to eye on what is important. And the most important thing to me is following the Father. And I can't. That's not like a side note for me. That's everything to me. It's the most important thing that I do in anything in my life, is turn to Him, share people about His truth and about how much He loves us, about His creation and what I know about it and how it works. Because if you share the word with people, there's nothing like sharing truth and watching the prejudice or the scales or whatever melt off of somebody, and their eyes are opened, and then the word becomes a lamp to their feet and it starts guiding their path. Man, it's freaking the best. And so all my peeps do the same. They all have the same passion and we all do the same thing. But also, everybody's got different gifts and talents. And I thought, when I first started thinking about a mag, it's like, I want dudes that are gonna, stab a mofo in the neck if they need to right away, right? And like, that's my street BS, but that's not real. I just thought that it would look different. And now that I realize what it needs to look like and what it actually is none of my people are perfect. By far. I mean, by far, we're a hot mess. And, but we're very organized. Our priorities are squared away. When it comes to preparedness, I've seen a lot of groups, and we're up there on the upper scale of that for sure. And I think the unity that we have because of the word, and the unity we have because of our priorities, I haven't seen it anywhere. And that's why I say I feel like I have the best mag in the world. And then also, like, we're not everybody's brand of people. Like I said, we're rough, and we're I wouldn't say we're like quick to fight, because we don't really, but I know if somebody pushed us, and we don't put ourselves in crappy situations where this is a thing that we got to worry about, but if somebody pushed us, we're going to push back. And that's just all I'm saying. And I think for me, having the Torah and having the understanding that my family will be looked after, and that they'll raise them in the way that I'd want them to be raised, is really, it's obviously for me the best part. But all the other stuff is, there's so many gifting and talents that I can't do. Like, I want to be super good on the radio, or super high speed at doing tactical stuff, or this or that, but I don't have all those skills, and all of us don't have all those skills. Everybody's got a little bit of all of that for sure, but some guys are super duper good at one thing, and that's their gifting and talent, and other guys are super duper good at other stuff. Like me, I'm a construction guy, So if you want me to build you, you know, a trap escape door in your cabin, I got you, boo. You know, if you want me to do some rainwater catchment for your off-grid system, I got you. If you want me to help you set up solar, like there's gifts that I have. Um, because it sure ain't. I got a Harley, bro, and you know, I can ride and do burnouts and do wheelies and shit. Nobody cares about that. You know, I mean, it's just not. It doesn't. It don't care how much gear you got and how you do at the range or this or that doesn't matter. There's important things about any of that, and there's standards that you should have, but you're not going to find perfect. And let's see, Bear Independent says it super good. He says your vibe attracts your tribe. Ain't that the truth? You know, and I prayed with my wife diligently for fellowship. And that's another thing with the mag is that we're able to fellowship. We don't just hang out at our meetings. We do life together. We see each other, you know, we work, we see each other struggle, and we see each other, you know, succeed. You know, we see each other, you know, when our kids get out of line and somebody's got to straighten them out, you know, like we're all, it's a beautiful thing. And so if you're looking for perfect, don't. Look for what you can do. You know, look for if you can get along with somebody and sit with somebody for a few hours without them making you nuts. Now, it's easy for me to say that because I can people like crazy. I can people for 2 weeks straight and not even trip. I'm just like that. Some people get peopled out real quick, like a few hours, and they're like, I'm about to go to my room or my cabin or my house. I got to go. I'm not that way. But you know, finding your people is something that me and my wife prayed about for a long time. And we were praying like, where are we supposed to be? Where are we going to fit? You know, where do you want us? And when I say prayed for a long time, I mean, we diligently prayed for a couple years on where we're supposed to be. And we drift around in multiple states, like 3 or 4 of them. And went through some heartache on the way, trying to find what we wanted, and also ran into a bunch of weirdos. Yeah, I mean, I went to some prepper meetings, and this is next level weirdo shit out there. Kind and good people, but like, I don't know what happens to people out there in the world, but when they ain't got Yah, they're like, they get super duper weird. And even if they got the Father, you know, people get weird. I mean, I'm weird, so you guys know what I'm saying. But don't, you know, there is no ultimate mag. There's no ultimate. There's just what you got and what you don't, you know. Even when I didn't have this mag, I still started to find a couple people, you know, that I knew if something went down, that they were down to clown. And that we would have conversations like, hey, if it looks like this, what are we gonna do? Are you know, were you in, you're out, what's your buying level? And you know, I can make friends with people, but trusting them with my family was few and far between. And I'm really blessed that I've got there's a decent amount of us. And I remember one of the first few events I went to, where I realized that these were my people. And it was the first time in maybe my entire life, and in my entire time of having kids, that I could feel super comfortable turning my back on where my kids are and didn't have to look every 5 seconds to see what they were doing or who they were around or who was talking to them. I didn't have to do that, because all of them would be treated with respect, and they would just be treated like I'd want anybody to treat my kid, you know. It was just beautiful, and I needed that in my life. And you know, getting that and getting a group of people, you know, I've been blessed to find a group that was already established and got welcomed in. It don't work that way for everybody, you know, and I know that, and I know it's tough. And PJ was talking about finding people, Pastor Joe on Viking Preparedness, he was talking about finding people. It is hard to find people. It's hard to find good people and people that can agree on something. But the baseline of agreement for me is keeping the commandments and not getting wrapped around the axles on what date and who and where. And like, you can't. You've got to give. You've got to be flexible, not with your belief and what you're standing on, but with other people and their beliefs and what they're standing on. You don't have to see perfectly eye to eye, and the importance of just doing it together and it being a holy convocation when it comes to that stuff. Because if you don't have a baseline on that, your most important things, and maybe yours ain't the Bible, which if it ain't, that's weird. If it wasn't the Bible for me, if there wasn't no point, if there wasn't no God, everybody be in danger right now, because it wouldn't matter if there ain't no God. I'm grateful there is one, and that I ain't him, and that I feel like he would squish me like a bug, like bloop, if I wanted to act wrong. But anyhow, you work out your salvation with fear and trembling on your own time. I'm just trying to talk about mags and how I found people. For me, how I started was 119 Ministries. There was some online stuff. I was able to kind of just email people and reach out and see, and then I'd go meet. We'd have like a little first date and maybe even a second date. If I got a second date out of somebody, or even a callback, it was good. And we met some decent people. I mean, we're still friends with some of them now. They're not exactly my flavor of people, but they're decent people. Be honest, we're probably a little bit much for them because they're a little softer than what I'm used to. I grew up around a bunch of convicts and military people. My dad, military, grandfather, military, nephew, military. It was, they're already hard. And then, family members and just about everybody in my neighborhood has all been to prison. So like, that's all I knew, was hanging out with convicts and military people. So they're not the softest in society, I promise you that. And so when you get regular folks, we're usually a little bit much for them. I think that's why a lot of prior service guys, and whether it's law enforcement or military, or even convicts, when they come back into society, they're so used to like knife hand everything that people are freaked out by them, and they kind of get like, wow, everybody's freaked out by me, what the fuck? And so they kind of pull back, because either the people are too soft to handle a knife hand, or it wasn't meant to be anyhow. But you know what I'm saying. So there ain't perfect, but you can find one or two people that you can meet up with, and they don't have to be close starting off. But if you're gonna have a group, you gotta do diligence and make time for each other and spend time. Meet up somewhere, when you're doing it first, if you get the invite to their house, or you feel comfortable inviting to yours, whatever, do that. But I like to meet somewhere public, a park, or a restaurant that's got low traffic, so we can kind of focus. If you got the cheddar, rent a conference room at a hotel or something like that, and put it on that way. I had a buddy of mine that did that. That was pretty cool. And then have people come. And another one was Viking meetups. If you can make it to a Viking meetup, Pastor Joe Fox on Viking Preparedness does Viking meetups on his Patreon stuff. You should subscribe for that and get on his Patreon for sure if you haven't. Get to know his character. Yeah, that dude he's awesome. But he has so much good information. And then he does the Viking meetups, which I think are phenomenal. I went to a couple, and he wasn't there, of course, but there was other people on his Patreon that were preppers, and they went and met up, and it was a breath of fresh air to meet other people that were putting food in buckets and doing homestead stuff and had kids. And there was not everybody kept Torah, but a few of them did, which was really nice. I met some good people that way. But finding fellowship, like-minded. If you think a certain way, and it's blocking you off from fellowship, maybe pump the brakes on that. Take a good hard look at it. But there's not perfect, but there is, like right now, and what you can do. And it comes with a price. All of it comes with a price. If you want something, you got to spend the time. And you got to invest time with people and get to know them, because getting to know them is the best part. You know, fall in love, figure out what makes them tick. And then the weirdness or the awkwardness or the I didn't really know what he meant by that or whatever all starts to fade away. And you don't even care. You just love them and like you're down a clown and it's good. So I don't know if any of this helped you guys, but check out those couple of things. And also hit me in the comments. Tell me if you liked any of that. Also tell me if there's a topic you want to talk about. Yeah, sparking with some interest, man. And then one of these days here we'll go live and we'll do some live chat, some Q&A, or we'll just get to know each other. Thanks, guys. Shalom.